Do you want to know a simple truth that nobody wants to hear about why the rich are rich and you are not? Well, let me tell you a story. This is George. George is a baseball player, and he's easily the best player on his team. He's the highest scorer, and every year he easily wins the most valuable player award. But one day, circumstances arose that meant George had to move away from his hometown and live in a new city. So now he needed to find a new baseball team, which he quickly did. Now in his new team, George was quite taken aback at just how much better all the other players were than him. This became more apparent because the coach wouldn't even play George in the games and instead just leave him on the bench. George was amazed how much better the players were at his new club, but it wasn't just their playing ability that was on a different level. There were other differences as well. They trained harder and longer. They paid attention to their diet and ate nutritious foods. In fact, their whole mindset and approach to baseball was way more serious than George was used to, and it clearly made a huge difference. George quickly realised that in order to get into his new team, he would also have to get more serious about his approach. So he got to work. He trained harder, he trained longer, he began to eat nutritious foods, and after several months of consistent hard effort, he became a regular in the starting lineup. Sometime later, George returned to his old town to visit his family. And while he was there, his old teammates invited him to train with them, just like old times. As they trained, George noticed that he was indeed still a better player than them, but what shocked him was how much better he was than them. He had improved by a huge margin, while his old teammates just stayed the same. On top of that, he now possessed a success mindset and approach that was completely different to them. His old teammates didn't understand why George wanted to continue training when their normal session was over. They didn't eat like him or understand why he paid attention to his diet. They thought and acted completely different to him. It was now clear to George that he had improved massively because he was surrounded by better baseball players at his new team. And being around better players all the time influenced George to rise to their level. Now, this story is easy to relate to, but its message applies to all aspects of our lives. This is because your success in anything in life is a direct reflection of your peer group. In fact, research suggests that we are actually the average of the 5 closest people in our lives. For example, imagine if George decided to start his own business, but all of his peers worked in regular 9-to-5 jobs. His peer group may be supportive and hope he does well, but other than that, they probably wouldn't be able to contribute too much to his success. They wouldn't be able to relate to the problems George would encounter as a business owner. In terms of business ownership experience, George would be the highest achiever in that group. While it may be true that George could possibly achieve success in this scenario, it would be a long and arduous process, and in the end, he would likely achieve limited success only to the extent that he would believe to be possible. Now let's compare this to a scenario where George manages to meet and surround himself with successful entrepreneurs who have all their own successful businesses. These people are achieving success at a level that George wouldn't believe even possible. They are operating on a much higher level than him. In terms of business ownership experience, this would make George the lowest achiever in the group. So being around higher achievers in the business world like this would inspire George to rise to a much higher level of success, and these peers could offer him guidance during the inevitable bumps in the road. Another example could be with earning money. Imagine that George earns a salary that is around the same as his peer group. This is a pretty common example, as studies show that our salary and financial situation is often likely to be within 10-20% of our peers. In this scenario, George makes the most money out of all his peers, but only by a small margin. So in terms of his wealth, this makes him the highest achiever in the group. George and his peers are all comfortable and not particularly motivated to work towards becoming higher earners. Now, compare this to a scenario where George begins to surround himself with ambitious people who are all earning more money. In this group, he's the person who earns the least money, and in terms of wealth, this makes him the lowest achiever in the group. If this was the case, a motivated George would most probably develop a desire to earn more, and that desire would lead him to becoming inspired to find ways to earn more money, maybe through learning a new skill or achieving a promotion, which inevitably would lead him to earning more money. In all of these scenarios, we could see how George could achieve more when surrounded by peers who are operating at a higher level than him. This is because our peer group shapes our mindset and habits around success. Being surrounded by people achieving success leads us also to achieve success. However, almost equally as important to George is belonging to a peer group that offers him encouragement and lifts his confidence, as opposed to discouraging him and lowering his confidence. This encouragement and confidence building helps him push to a higher level. It's also massively beneficial to him when the group around him holds an expectation that he will step outside his comfort zone to achieve more. So, if you are looking for success in anything, you need to take a look at who is around you. Are you surrounded by people who are playing at a higher level than you? If you're not, then you might be being unknowingly held back. It may be time to make some changes because your life will always be a direct reflection of your peer group. While this might not be what you want to hear, but the fact is, we are the average of the 5 people closest to us in our lives. And if you want to elevate your game, be like George. Hang around with people who inspire and make you grow. If you like our videos, go ahead and hit that thumbs up button below. And while you're down there, make sure to subscribe so you can watch our future videos as we release them. And if you have any suggestions for future videos, please leave them in the comments below.